Hi, good evening, and welcome to the final session of the Virtual International 2021 Youth Camp. It is, of course, the youth camp of the Pentecostal City Mission Church International. I do take this opportunity to welcome all those who are with us now and those who will view this broadcast later. Also, those who will join us. Welcome to each and everyone. It is important that you go ahead and share this live, share this broadcast. Other evenings we would have started at 7:30, and probably, someone is waiting until that time to tune in. But go ahead and let them know that we are live. This evening, as we finalize what has been so far an awesome experience, we will have as another host my assistant regional youth director for Jamaica, Light Brigade, Dr. Brighton Kinlock. He will be coming in later. We will also, as you know, last night we had an exceptional cook-off. I see where person's mouth were watering, just expecting to taste and to savor what was prepared by New York and Canada, the UK region, and the Jamaica region. Today, I will let you know what is the concluding score of all three judges combined, and of course, the people's choice, which took place by voting or liking on the pages of the Regional Youth Council Jamaica. And so stay tuned for that. But we will also be having what we dub calibrating, and Dr. Kinlock will be leading us in that aspect. Now please do be reminded that as we venture out of camp, we are heading into our international convocation. That will be in the first week of August. You have to join us live as we celebrate, as we worship, as we listen to awesome dynamic speakers that you can't afford to miss that virtual event. And as we continue in the year, coming in October, we will be having the 49th Youth Convention of the Jamaica region. And remember also that this year marks the 75th anniversary of the YPG. And so we will also be celebrating that achievement. We want to therefore honor our founding member, the late Bishop Dr. Delrose Lucille Walters. We honor her. We also want to honor all those who would have allowed this awesome ministry to continue to grow and to blossom into what it is today. We also honor our existing leaders, and therefore to our General Overseer, Bishop Dr. Donald Maxwell, and Reverend Barbara Maxwell, his wife, to the Deputy in charge of administration, Reverend Barrington Richards, and wife, to the Deputy in charge of evangelism, and our own regional bishop here in Jamaica, pastor of the headquarters church at 11 to 15 Blunt Street, Bishop Marcia Gale. We honor you all. To all the other bishops, reverends, light brigades, workers, volunteers, deaconesses and deacons, members, youth executive, of course, to the International Youth Council, to all the regional youth directors, to the Regional Youth Council of Jamaica, and all those who serve on that council and those who served before, past youth directors, Reverend Clive Walker, and also Reverend Rodranat Fraser, to all the presidents, zone youth coordinators, vice presidents, presidents in waiting, past presidents, secretaries, treasurers, chaplains, planners, group leaders, whatever role you fit in, we honor you tonight. We honor you this evening, and we honor you this morning. And that goes out to you whether you serve in the Jamaica region or you serve in other regions. We honor you as we keep the YPG going forward. It is indeed very important, and that's why we sing the song YPG, go forward in the power of the Holy Ghost. YPG, go forward. We are more than conquerors in His name. We also want to remind everyone of the International Evangelism Challenge from the International Youth Council. Each one win one for 2021. Therefore, we have at least 5 more months to go. And all we're asking is that you win at least one soul for the kingdom of Jesus Christ. He that winneth soul is wise, and therefore let us harness what was presented to us through this camp as we celebrate under the theme, put on your PPE, keep on your PPE, defending the faith. PPE for us is prophetic evangelism, and we have been taught, we have been educated, we have been edified in the word in terms of how we must approach evangelism in this season and in this time. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight promises to be just as the other nights, exciting, fulfilling, and therefore go ahead and invite someone else to join this broadcast. If you're on Facebook, type the @ symbol and the name of the person. If you're on YouTube, you can go ahead, copy the link, share it with someone else. Let them know. You don't have to have an account to watch YouTube. So just click on the YouTube link and you're right there. If you have a Facebook account, jump right on in, share the link, and let's get this going. Ladies and gentlemen, it is important that we acknowledge you every night as you join us. And therefore, it is time that we do the big ups, that we do the big ups, that we do the big ups. So we want to ensure that we catch everybody tonight. We want to ensure that we catch everybody tonight. We want to make sure that we honor those who are joining us. And so let me just get my instruments right so that I can yes, let me get my instruments right so that I can see with me. I'm getting there, don't worry. Just go ahead and comment where you're watching from so that we can big you right up. We have some ministries coming up before we get into Dr. Kinlock. But in the meantime, Dr. Kinlock, come on in just to let me know. Yes, Sir Kinlock, today was an awesome day as we came live from Chepstow. And you spoke the word. As a matter of fact, my apologies to everyone due to extenuating circumstances. I could not be with you today. And so, Dr. Kinlock, how are you doing, sir?
Well, I'm not doing too bad. I thank God for our awesome time in worship today. And wow, what a word. The word is a
Yes.
blessing. I preached till the electricity went out.
Yes, I did tune in. I did tune
Oh
in
my
and
goodness.
recognized. Yes, that the electricity went, but there was enough fire in the house. There was enough current
Yes.
in the house, so you could conclude.
Yes,
And
yes.
indeed, it was a powerful message. It was a powerful message. For those who missed
Yes.
it, man of God, can you summarize in a minute what was today's message all about?
Yes, and yes. So today's message, I use a subtopic: get your head in the game. Can you hear me? Yes, I think I'm back on. So, so I use the topic, the subtopic, get your head in the game. And we preach there from Jude chapter, well, Jude, all the verses, all the way down to verse 25. And indeed, we spoke about the reason why Jude um, wrote, wrote to the church, and also we went and defined what linebackers were. They are part of the defense, main players in the defense of the team. And we juxtapose that to Ephesians 6, where Paul encouraged us to be able to quench the fiery darts. Something interesting about linebackers: they are there to prevent the running attacks, what they call the running attacks, or what we would say call the forwards in soccer, from scoring a touchdown or scoring a goal. And so that's in essence what we preach. We also, some main points from the message were that you should not be dreamers, because Jude described these false teachers as dreamers. Another word that came forcefully was stand. And also, we close with what Paul said in Galatians, where he encourages saints that if even a man or an angel would come and preach another gospel, then let them be accursed. So that's basically what the message was about.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Kinlock, thank you, sir.
I'm
And
not sure if you were hearing me because I was a bit in and out, but I hope I
well,
captured the essence.
I did hear you. I did hear you. And I do trust that those on live heard you. I think so. Um, I know they said they were having a feedback, but I think they have heard. In the meantime, sir, while we try to see what is happening there, we are going to be listening to worship by the worship team there out of Chepstow City Mission Church. Please receive them as they take us into worship.
Holy Spirit, we call upon you, O God. Surround me, O Lord.
Yes, indeed, the joy of the Lord is our strength. And I'd just like to say thank you again to praise team out of Chepstow, in addition to Fairy Hill, Sister Xavier there, um, singing as a part of the praise team out of Fairy Hill, along with Brother Rajiv and Brother Jay Johnson. And so we're about to go forward into our final session of Camp 2021, and it is entitled A Sit Down with the Regional Youth Director / International Youth Director, the Calibrating. And so we're gonna go right into it, but I just like to just define this term, because you might be wondering what do we mean by calibrating? What do we mean by calibrating? So calibrating means, or to calibrate means to make a mark or a gauge or an instrument with a standard scale of readings. It may also mean to adjust, to take external factors into account and to allow comparison with other data. And so, as we are speaking about calibrating, this pandemic has caused us to adjust. It has been a season of adjustment. We have had to rethink ministry. We have had to rethink how we do church, how we do evangelism. And so we are going to sit down with our director, Reverend Dervandale Taylor, and we are going to delve into this matter. And as we are going forth, if you feel like you have something that you would want to ask the director, feel free to comment, mention it, or state your question in the comments, so that we will be able to hear what the man of God has to say in that regard. And so this is an interactive session, and I want you to continue to share, continue to like, continue to comment. If he's ready, our producer could bring him in before the director.
I think you guys have caught me off guard. My apologies. My apologies, sir.
Yes, Mr. Director. How are you feeling?
I am good. Great. Thank you for asking. I'm just normally after camp. Normally after camp, it's a bit jaded. It's a bit jaded. And so I give God thanks. Virtual camp, still a bit jaded, but it is less. I think at this time for physical camp, I probably would just be, driving out of Portland, But I'm grateful. I'm grateful.
Yes, I see. Our people in the comments saying that you are not ready, Rev, but we are always ready. Because as the word came forth today, we have to get our head in the game. So anytime when we are called on, even suddenly, we have to be ready. And so we're going to go forward. Some people might still be wondering what this is about. We're just going to build a vibe. We're just going to lime, as we would say in university. Just gonna have a little chit chat and close out camp with style in a bang. And so, my first question to our director, Reverend Durban, is for him to, it's not really a question, but it's a request for him to just describe his conversion experience. We're getting to know a little more about our director. So, Rev Durban, could you describe your conversion experience to us?
Uh, so that's been such a long time. So for me, I grew up in church. I grew up in church. I was, the typical church boy, from Sunday school. Coming up, I took part in youth group, men's ministry. At that time, mission board. I was basically, I was at church almost every day, including Saturdays, to assist with cleaning of the church. So I grew up in church. Um, my guides, my parent, grandparents, even though my grandparents did not attend church, we could not stay home and not go to church. So they ensured that that happened. And so I would go. So of course I would have been taught, but still never. I believe that because we were attending church, I considered myself saved because in my head at that time, that was what it meant, really, until I started to attend high school, and thanks be to God, before what you would say the Jamaican terminology broke out, I was at a crusade one night, and I remembered it was Reverend Monica Deacon. We called her at that time, and Sister Betty, and so I want to bless God for her, who, came and, she was ministering to me, saying, what is the hold up, what am I waiting for, etc. And I think that was the night when I decided to give my life to Christ. I think at that time my pastor at Wellington City Mission was Pastor Tolo, Light Brigade Tolo at the time. However, it was not until Reverend Janet Randall came that I got baptized, and that was from then. It was a journey onwards. The Lord started to send words my way and to confirm certain things, but I what the Lord was confirming was not what I really wanted. But nevertheless, His will was done, and here I am today. That's a synopsis of the experience.
So we're off to a great start, and certainly I'm a church boy as well, so I understand. Yes, you grew up in church, but you're not necessarily saved until that moment when Jesus really touched you. And Rev, just to piggyback off that which you said it was in high school that you really came into the saving knowledge of Jesus Christ. And so I would like to know, and I'm sure many of the youth would like to know, what are some of the challenges that you faced in secular settings such as high school, university, and now even in the work world? What are some of the challenges, and how you said, how did you navigate these challenges?
Hmm. I think,
Very long question.
yeah, well, that's fine. I think, Brighton, the greatest challenge of a youth attending high school, let's start there, is the whole, because high school is a time when I was trying to, quote unquote, find myself, trying to define, who I am, and strange enough, what is my purpose. It was a time of also um, trying to be adventurous, and so there were, of course, a lot of pressure in terms of, you go to high school, you move up, everybody has their girlfriend, everybody has a boyfriend, and you too want to get into that whole game. I remembered, however, that during high school, and of course I attended the great Carteret College in Mandeville, Manchester. I said to, actually I was in Manchester yesterday, I was driving past with my brother-in-law who attends Kingston College, and I was very diligent enough to point out to him that this school that we're driving past, the Carteret College, is the original purple and white. It's the original purple and white. All right. So I was very diligent to outline. Big up Simeon Cole. Yes, big up. And so I attended the Carteret College, and of course that whole period of seeing your friends and hearing your friends. I remember my best friend in first form. When I went to first form, he was already engaged sexually, and he had his girlfriend. He was coming to high school with his girlfriend, and so there was pressure to bear in that, because you wanted to fit in, you wanted to be a part. However, I think that the values that were instilled in me at Wellington, from my Sunday school teachers, people like Brother Roy Maxwell and Brother Jeff, we call him, those values still kept me grounded. You wanted to do things, but in the back of your head, there was this guilt, and so, I think that kind of kept me grounded. Of course, moving on to university, I attended University of Technology. Then when you move into that space, I think the pressure remains the same, but it increases, because now you don't live with parents. I live by myself, and so it is like you have this freedom to do whatever you can. You're away from your home church, you're away from pastor, etc. And so there was this freedom. Intertwined with that also is the whole fact of the different religious groups that you're bombarded with at university. Different persons putting forward their idea of spirituality and religion. And it is like this melting pot, this melting pot of everything that can cause mass confusion. How I dealt with that was, I embedded myself in ISCF. So when I went to university, I joined ISCF. I took my lunchtime and attended ISCF. I also didn't stop attending church. So when I came to Kingston, I went to HQ when I could. I went to Spanish Town when I could. And when I could not, there was a church down the road from where I live that, I attended to still kind of keep that link. I still participated in regional activities, youth activities. I remember attending university, but I was studying for Bible quiz, etc. So these kind of kept me, still linked. I had friends who continued to call. Two key to mention. One is deceased now, God bless his soul. We call him Brother Noah, George Dan, and Mr. Calvin Morrison. They would drive all the way from country, come up. There's Karen Morgan. These people would still keep the link, check on me to find out what is happening. And of course, you know that there's always the parental and family support that is there. In the workplace, you move out of university. In the workplace, the pressure continues. There's even more. There's the issue of immoral stuff, in terms of, and based on where I work, there's a lot that can be done, and you can become enriched, if you could call it that. So there's that pressure. There's still the pressure, of females. There's still the pressure of it, it doesn't change really as you grow. The pressure increases, but Brighton, I think the key thing is to ensure that you have some amount of grounding in the word of the Lord, and also ensuring that you continue to participate and to continue to do ministry, to continue to be involved. Because what I've come to realize is that based on your environmental factors, you are influenced by your environment. I normally say to people that is like a piece of chicken. It is raw on Saturday morning. You put it in seasoning, you change its environment, and Sunday morning when you smell that chicken, without even frying it, you can smell the seasoning, because it has absorbed what was in the environment. And so I think I've always tried as best as I could to keep my environment at a place that will uplift me, that will support me spiritually, and that will guide me. I'm not saying I don't have secular friends in my environment, but I have always sought to ensure that I bring influence to bear on them instead of the reverse. I think that is it. You said a long-winded question. That's a long-winded answer.
Yes. And I just want to point out one thing that Rev said. Rev said that when you keep involved in the ministry, it keeps you grounded, rather than being just idly, in church, not really knowing what your purpose is. Find your vein. And as Pastor John Hanna said, he said he's a great pastor, pastors a church with more than 20,000 members. He said while he was at his former church, he always wanted to preach like his pastor. And he said his pastor gave him this advice: find your vein and ask God to anoint your vein. So it doesn't matter what your calling is. Once you remain connected in ministry, once you remain serving in ministry, it helps with your grounding. And also, Rev spoke to some extent about having self-control. When you have God within, you will have self-control, and that will carry you through. Not saying that you may not fall along the way, but I think that's a good guide to our youths of today, where so many things are being, it's almost as if you have to put on blinders to get through these times, because there are so many distractions to distract you from what your purpose is in God. And so, Rev, I see questions coming forth. It seems as if Sister Ronnie was reading my mind, because she asked almost the same question that I was going to ask. And so let me try to find it. It's not that long. It says, when did you answer the call of ministry? And she specified age, and was it a situation or encounter? Wow.
Uh, all right. This is a story that could take up the entire life. I when I got saved, I had no ambitions of ministry. I had no ambitions of coming into ministry. Of course, some may know I come from a lineage of ministers, pastors. I have pastors who are reverends, aunts who are reverends, aunts who are deaconesses, and they seem to marry into ministries too. They marry reverends and they marry deacons, etc. I had no ambition of doing that. I think my aunt, Reverend Barbara Taylor, is the only one who actually went on mission field. That wasn't anything that was impressive based on what I would see and things that I would hear as a child. So I had no ambitions of going into ministry. My ambition was to become a computer engineer, and that was it. However, I remembered one crusade at Wellington. There was a Reverend Mark, who came, and he called me up and he gave me a word at that time indicating that I would be a pastor, and I would be preaching over the world, and I was there like, I don't know what he's talking about. And he instructed my pastor then, Reverend Janet Randall, to buy me a book and a pen, and he encouraged me to take that book and pen everywhere I go, and every time I hear someone preach, I should take notes, I should write it down. I honestly, I started, but then I stopped. I stopped because I didn't want to be any pastor or preacher kind of thing. I remembered but I was very involved actually. I was involved in the YPG. I used to write minutes for the YPG. I wasn't the secretary, mark you, but I listened to when I went to the services, and one night the secretary didn't there, and so I said, yeah, well, let me write it. I was involved in men's group as a matter of fact, and people may find this strange. I have never held a position in the YPG apart from regional youth director and now international youth director. Never. I have never been a secretary. I've never been a treasurer. I've never been a president. No. Because I don't know. That wasn't me. And so Brighton, I continued. I eventually was invited to join the youth council. I still would do things. I still would minister. I remember the first time Reverend Randall gave me the opportunity at Wellington to preach. Oh God, I would kill it with. I was just going, words behind words, and Reverend Randall was behind me and said, put some praise in it, love you, Reverend Randall, love you. And so, I moved into Kingston, moved into Fairfield Road at that time, and I want to shout out to Reverend J. McLeod Grant, Jackie as I call her. Love you, Jackie, my friend for life. There's a long history behind that, all of that. But I think she was the person, who kind of pushed, and eventually I ended up on the youth council at that time. I think at that time Bishop was also pastor in Spanish Town, and they said, give him a chance, Bishop. And I remember, Bishop gave me a chance to preach. I can't express words about Bishop. She's an awesome woman of God who gives people chances. And I tell you, I think Bishop have took a lot of chances on me. The first time giving me to speak, allowing me to be on the youth council, allowing me to be regional youth director, allowing me to serve on the board, allowing me to become ordained, allowing me to pastor Linstead, allowing me to pastor Trafalgar. All of these were very instrumental because of Bishop Morris again, and so I honor Bishop. So I'm getting there, and so I started to. So I was now involved in youth ministry, while at UTech became the youth director. Eventually I served on the board. That was a story by itself, because there were some people who felt that a brother cannot serve on the board. And again, I want to say, that I was the youth director, and so it was said, well, if he's a youth director, the post is on the board. And again, I want to honor the woman of God again, and eventually served on the board. But then now it came up again. Oh, you can't, it was very difficult at points to lead. I remember sending out letters, and Bishop had to co-sign because there were pastors who felt like, the letter is coming from a brother, and so why honor it? Some people didn't even read it, and so Bishop had to be co-signing. And so at one point now it was felt that, oh, he needs to be, it was being prompted long ago that, oh, you need to be in the ministry, etc. And I just shunned all of that. The discussions happened, etc. The board felt that was also that it was the time. And so fast forward to 20, well, I don't even remember the year. I went and spoke at the Mountain View New Testament Church. Yes, and my friend Prudence Wisdom invited me. And I remember the gift that they gave me when I spoke was a book about answering the pastoral call. And listen to me, I pushed that book to the deepest bottom of wherever, because I was not reading it. I did not read a line. I wasn't interested, and then it came to the point where, I started to find issues and problems in ministry with the mission, etc. And it reached a point now where Bishop and the board made the decision that, listen, this ordination ain't passing you. 2012, I think it was. And you better believe that I took a flight and I went to California. Hi, Nikki and Ryan, if you're watching, how you doing? I went to California.
God intervened. The rock done.
I went to California, Brighton, and I booked my ticket was to come back the day after ordination. Sometime after the ordination. And I was over there, and Bishop is a very persistent one, very persistent woman. I remember she called me, I didn't answer, and Bishop probably is hearing these for the first time. I didn't answer. I saw the call, I didn't answer. So she began to call Ryan, So I locked myself in the room, and I said, well, tell Bishop, you can't reach to me. I'm not going to ask you to lie, but you can't come in the room, so tell her you can't reach to me. Right? And, Bishop gave him some messages. I think he too was a bit upset with me because, and so he left for work, and I locked up in that room until he left. I was sitting in a room, I heard him left, and I came out, went to watch TV, thinking that all was well. All this time, I believe that the Lord, it was like a Jonah experience. There was a hurricane in Jamaica that was coming towards Jamaica. And at the same time, Bishop convinced my brother, who I think is sitting in my house at this moment, Gawain, and got one of my suits. He took out my suit, and without my permission, yes, and gave it to Bishop, and they measured it and gave out the uniform to be made. All this time I was in, California, and I remember when I came out of the room, Brighton, every channel I turned on the TV, there was a word or something indicating running away from God. I turned off the TV and I went back into the room and locked myself. and I receive a call from his now worker Alonzo Grandison. Bless you, Alonzo, if you're watching, good friend. And he was like, he had no clue what was going on, but he called me and he said, "What is happening? I think there's something that you are running from." And I said, "Hey, bro, I can't talk to you now. Let me call you back," because I did not want to hear what he said. Because from he said there's something that you're running away from, I shut him down. I cut him off, tell him can't talk to him. I was in the room, and then I think the presence of the Lord just came over me, and the tears just started to fall. I was crying uncontrollably. I was just bawling, and I couldn't understand why, and I couldn't stop bawling. And then I heard the voice spoke to me that, you complain about a lot of things. Why not become a part of the solution? And that was when I just said, "God, yes. Whatever it is, let it be." And the hurricane came, the ordination was postponed, and my flight came back one day before the ordination. I came back the Saturday, the Sunday was the ordination. When I came back to my house, there was a reverend suit here. I was late for the ordination. I was the last one who walked in. And by the way, that was the year, Brighton, that you were also ordained, I think, yes? And so
Yes.
that was my story, and from then I just yielded myself to the Lord, and I've just said, where he leads, I will go. That's just a part of the story running.
Size.
Yes.
Wow. My pastor, Reverend Mackenzie, he has this message that he always preaches, and I'll say it in the title is in the Jamaican vernacular. He says, "God, I watch you and him a go corner you." So, oh Jesus, God cornered Rev Durban. My God, when there's purpose, boy, you can't. It don't matter how much you try to run, how much you try to hide. I don't know who is out there watching this, but it's better to yield. It's better to yield to the purpose of God, because God won't ease until His purpose is brought forth. And so, let me see. I think there are other questions in the chat.
Before you move to those, Brighton, I want to pick up on that point, because you know that there are a lot of persons who feel that, I remember days, and I'm sure we'll discuss these. I remember days, serving, where people felt like, there were perks to this ministry. There were. I remember the first time I bought a vehicle. There were persons who felt that, boy, it was the youth council. We were so, there were perks, and we were making so much money that I was able to buy a vehicle. There were people who also felt that, how is it, you went from a brother to a reverend. It was a big thing, and I think even now, there are persons who struggle with it. If you are such a person, stop struggling with it, because there was nothing in my my imaginary book, that could tell me that would be so, or that I wanted it to be so. But when the hand of God is on you, and when the Lord purposes your life, when the Lord ordains and orders your step, when the Lord plants you. It is a purposeful move. And I believe that I was not scattered. I believe I am planted, and therefore I believe that there's some amount of purposefulness in terms of what the Lord did concerning my life. Because if it was up to me, I tell you, even now, I tell you, I wouldn't pastor, I wouldn't do certain things, and even now I still shy away from some things, but I believe that it was, all of this is just God's doing.
Yes. And so many we have seen in the Bible where people have run away from the call, but still it seems like it is inevitable that your call will catch up to you. And trust me, it's better to yield. Sometimes it is hard. It is hard to yield to the call of God, but once you give God a yes, He will take care of the rest. And I'm sure Rev can attest to that. And so I've been searching. I've been searching for another question that I saw. But in the meantime, Rev, what was
Sorry, I think you muted, Brighton. I didn't hear the question.
Oh, sorry. Yes. So the question is, what was it like when you first started on the Regional Youth Council for Jamaica?
When I first started, I started under the leadership of Reverend Clive Walker. I keep saying Clyde. Reverend Clive Walker. He was deacon at that time. Listen, I have so much respect and admiration for that gentleman. It is unbelievable. He's humble. He he's a leader by nature. And I think I can tell you that his leadership style is one of servanthood. So he wasn't daunted by those who were around him. I could remember at that time, it was all university and people with degrees, etc. But the thing I admired about Deacon Walker, Reverend Walker now, is that he used to the best of his ability those who were around him. And so the youth council at that time was very proactive, productive. It was hard hitting, I can tell you. We would come with discussions, and people we would go at each other. But when we came out of those sessions, we were coming out with life-changing activities. We were coming out as one unit, and even if one person did not agree, right, we were coming out as a team. It was the epitome of what a team should be, what a team should operate like. And every character on the youth council was just different, Reverend Grant, Reverend Jackie probably have mellowed out now, but I can tell you she was a rough one on the council. She just could not take certain things, and she would not hold back, and so it also groomed me. I think the joining the youth council groomed me at that time. I served when I joined as the sports and entertainment director, and so it groomed me, and very very quickly, I think with that grooming and with the grooming I had at in Manchester, and of course grooming at school and university, it was not long after joining the youth council that I was elevated to the youth director position. So yeah, that's what it was like in the early years.
Uh, and you kind of segued into my next question. I see questions coming in on Facebook. I don't see any on YouTube as yet. But so then, how did you feel when you were first appointed regional youth director, having never been youth president, vice president, or never holding a position in the YPG, whilst being active? How was that transition?
So the transition for me was I knew that there was a support group there, the council, and at the time Reverend Walker was not leaving the council either. At that time I remembered he was in Bible school, and he just felt at the time that he could not, the two were conflicting at that time, and everybody knows their limit, and that is something again that I respect about the man. He was focusing on school, he was doing other activities, he was upgrading himself, and he just said, listen, at this time it is going to be very difficult. And so there was some discussions, there was some, I think, some selection process by the youths, and I don't remember if the pastors were involved. And so while I knew, however, that I had the support of the council, stepping into this role for me was a bit scary, yeah, because it was unknown territory. It was unknown territory, and then, of course, you 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 knew that the council was operating at a high level before, and so to know I could not fit in Reverend Walker's shoe, definitely, and so I just had to craft out my own strategy in terms of how I would move forward with this new task. And so apart from, of course, seeking God's guidance and praying about it, etc., there were discussions, of course, with some family members. And so I just decided to take up the task, utilize the team around me, and one of the things I think that has made the tenure kind of rewarding for me is the engagement of the young people. It was not always easy. There were turbulent times. Sometimes it was a love-hate relationship, especially when it comes to like sport day. Because at that time I served as, before regional youth director, I served as sports director. There was a love-hate relationship, boy, those days were rocky, but still had to stand my ground. And so now to transition to the leadership, you had that to wrestle with in terms of, the young people. But I think that process of engaging them and allowing them to be a part and to feel a part, meeting them on their level without lowering your own standards, etc., has made it a very successful tenure for the past 14 years. Can you believe it? 14 years serving in this capacity. Very, 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 very long. So the tenure, however, has been rewarded. We have transitioned rewarding. We have transitioned from different councils, different bodies, different personalities, etc. But it has been, I believe, a rewarding experience so far.
I see a question coming out of California from Natasha Mailer Samuels. She wants to know, or I guess she's asking on the behalf of all of us, how do you remain encouraged and fervent in your work amongst the doubters / naysayers?
So one thing I recognize, Brighton, is that you're always going to have, no matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, no matter how much the Lord leads you, you are going to have doubters. I think one of my greatest inspirations come from the book of Nehemiah. I always tell myself, I know within myself when I'm doing good, and I know when I'm not doing good. So I don't normally need anybody to tell me that I am doing well. I can say like Nehemiah, I am doing a good work. And so when it comes from other people, it is just confirmation to me. Because there's always going to be naysayers. There's always going to be doubters. But I like when the Lord proved the doubters wrong. If I could segue a bit from youth and go, I remember when I was supposed to go even to Pastor Linstead, there was this cloud of doubt in terms of this young person. He's never pastored a church, he has never been on a mission field, and taking up pastoral duties. And I believe at that time Bishop came under heavy scrutiny for something like that. Well, there's no need to blow your own trumpet in these situations. Anybody can do an examination of Lindsay and draw your own conclusions. And so I don't really focus too much on what people is saying, etc. Sometimes my wife tells me that, because I just like to say, me no business, me no care, and it scares her sometimes because I really don't. I believe that if the Lord is leading me a particular way, I'm going to follow Him, and I'm going to do what He says. I like to seek the Lord's approval, and once that approval, and while I believe in democracy, there are times when you have to be putting some dictatorship in it. And so my leadership style is mixed. I apply different style to different situations. And I think particularly a weakness of mine, and it is a strength and a weakness, because I am a stickler for God's business getting done to the maximum. I believe in quality when it comes to anything concerning ministry. And so I think sometimes persons feel like I probably overdo, or I don't think I micromanage, but if it is something is not done properly, I'm going to step in and either say redo it, or I get it done some other way, because I believe in the kingdom of God having the best outputs and just giving the best to it, right? So because of that, I don't really, I remain motivated. I am motivated by outcomes, right? I'm motivated by outcomes. So I like to see what is the outcome of something. and that is why I work hard towards outcomes, because it keeps me going. And so, for example, just to give an example, when I come to camp, when we host a camp, and I see the young people and I see them, being blessed. I see them, some may frown when you try to get them out the dorm, but the next time you see them, they're in a session and, the tears are running, and when they're leaving and they can't wait to come back to next year. These keep me motivated. When, a youth can call you and say, boy, because of X, because of what you said or because of what you did, this is what happens. Those are the things. I'm motivated by the success of others, sometimes to the detriment of my own successes. So I am one who believes that you have to be self-motivated. I can provide the avenues for you to be motivated, but unless you decide or you do what is necessary, you're going to remain demotivated. And so I try to engage in things that will keep me energized and motivated. Ultimately, right, I know that, all of this was God's doing, and that is why, sometimes the different voices to me, they come, but I just shut them up, because it has to be God, because this was nothing that I wanted.
Yeah. Yes. We are almost at halftime. But I think you kind of touched on. I saw two other questions from Sister Ronique. First one was, at any point in the beginning of your ministry, did you feel overwhelmed? I think you kind of touched on that, but you can still add, if you please. Did you ever feel overwhelmed with the call on your life, and how did you overcome that feeling of being overwhelmed? And secondly, she said, were you ever confused regarding your purpose and the ministry you were called to?
All right. All right. Thanks for that question. Let me deal with the latter one first. It's strange enough, and it may sound strange. I don't think I have ever been confused concerning my purpose here on earth. Let me say it like that, because I have a broad purpose, which can be fulfilled not only in church but in my secular job, etc. And the purpose, and I've seen it manifest, and that is why I believe, it is clear for me. A lot of persons say, boy, I don't know what is my calling, what is my purpose. For me, I've never had that struggle really. And I believe that my purpose, and not believe, I know that my purpose is, whatever I do is to better someone else. And so whether it is ministry, whether it is on my secular job, I believe that the Lord has given me that that mandate just to better people. So I normally say to people, when everybody else has given up on you, send them over to me, because I believe that everything has not yet been expended to help this person. And so because of that, sometimes it becomes overwhelming. So, and that is why I answer the second part first. So to the question, yes, there are times when it is just overwhelming. And one of the things, Brighton, that I recognize and I struggle with, when it is that I don't have control, I get very jittery, But I think the Lord has taught me, you know, that when I have control, things will get out of control. And so he has to put his hand on it, and I must take my hands off it. And so, you know, there are
Word.
times when I really feel guilty sometimes, because I become bombarded with so many issues, youth issues, adult issues. At work, I am like the go-to person for people to talk to, you know. And there are sometimes when someone comes through a particular situation, you know, and because you are dealing with so much, the time passes for you to deal with it, and then the very thing that you didn't want to happen, you see happen. And I'm there saying, God, if I had just made the time to talk to X, this would not have happened. When quite honestly, boy, there is no time. But I've come now to understand that, because I have to balance time. You know, when I wasn't married, you know, I could just give time to these things all hours of the night, etc. But then, you know, you start to get into family, you get married, you have to start to adjust, you know, giving. And so when I was getting married, I worked out, you know, with my wife. We have this thing that says there's me time, so that's my time. She has her time. There is our time, you know. There's guy time, there's girl time, you know, and there's friend time, you know. So we kind of work out that segmentation. You know, it doesn't always work, you know. And I want to pause here to honor my beautiful, darling, sugar plum wife, you know, who I believe was called to be a minister's wife, called to be my wife, because I can tell you that only she alone can put up with me, and understand. And I want to say to those who are aspiring to leadership positions, etc., and their spouses, or their fiancés, or the person you're talking to them, you know, my counselor said it to me, and I believe it with all my heart, and I'm saying it again, that you have to be called to be a minister's spouse, whether the female is the minister, or
Yes.
the male is the minister, you know. And because, trust me, it is not an easy feat, you know. But I think we have learned, you know, how to manage that aspect of our lives, you know, to balance it. It is not always respected, I can tell you. It is not always respected, but we have to ensure that, well, I have to ensure that, you know, it is respected. And I don't even, my wife is listening, so probably it's the first she's hearing this. You know, I remember, you know, when we were dating, it was very difficult also at that point, you know. And I know I'm answering Ronnie's question, because all of this made it overwhelming in early ministry. You know, I was, you know, it was felt that she wasn't spiritual enough for me, you know. And I remembered, God bless Reverend Monica Deacon again, I remembered, you know, there was one day that she called me, not knowing about all that was being said, etc. And, you know, she encouraged me about marriage, etc. And she made a key point to me that don't focus on, she said, you are up and down running over the place preaching. You don't need a wife like that. You need a wife who's going to be in the background praying for you, caring for you, taking care of your wet clothes, etc. And and don't focus on all of that, you know. And that was really deep for me, you know. I remember one year I was at camp, very camp, you know, and I remember someone was bold enough to come up to me. I hope you are watching. Bold enough to come up to me and said, you know, she's not pretty enough for you, you know. It you know, as a youth director, it was very difficult in you know. I there were females who, I remember there was one female in her imagination, she and I were together, you know, and while I was preaching, I was winking at her. Listen, I've gone through this, and all of this, you know, in early ministry, you know, made it overwhelming. So it was in those areas. Trust me, Brighton, it has been. I've seen it. I've seen it. I've had teddy bears been named after me. I've there's some that I don't even care to mention, because I respect. Even though these were happening, I still respected the persons, etc. But all of that, put pressure, and made ministry overwhelming. So there was that pressure from that side. There was pressure from the ministerial side, because I tell you, it is not easy in ministry. A lot of people see me come and go, but it is not easy. It is not everybody that is for you. It's not everybody that is with you, and so I had that also to deal with, and one of the things I particularly like is when you know that somebody is not with you, but they act like they're with you, and you just laugh with them, like, but like Deacon Walters says, that the wheat and the tares have to grow together until harvest. I've been through, in as young as I am, I've been through enough to walk away from ministry. But again, I always go back to the point that this has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with God. And so because of that, listen, if it is even unbroken pieces, I have made up in my mind that I am going to make it.
Wow. Good caveats being handed out here by our director. And I see where Reverend Stuart Miller asked a question, but I think you answered it. He was asking, in essence, he was saying for you to outline how you encourage ministers to handle marriage and ministry. So I think you answered that question. And so we are now at halftime. Linebackers, it's halftime, halfway there through the game. And so at this time, we're going to go into a season of worship. And coming to us to minister in song is Sister Savannah out of Kitchener SDA Church in Canada. So put your hands and hearts together and receive her as we take a break. We'll be right back.
In the dream of my despair, surely
Yes, eyes haven't seen, ears haven't heard. There is so much more worth fighting for. Remember, we are linebackers, and our mandate is to defend the faith. And so we're back from halftime in this session entitled "Sit Down with the Youth Director, Regional Youth Director, Reverend Dervin Taylor." It has been a wonderful conversation thus far. And so we are going to move right along, Rev. I see the questions trickling in now. I see a question here from Brother Chad Smith. His name on Facebook is CK Junior R. Smith. He says, if you continue to give energy, where do you find energy when you take off the cape, Reverend Taylor?
This is another of, the very unique man of God, Sir Chad, a man that I admire and respect. I do take off the cape, I do. But the thing is, and sometimes when I take off the cape, I do get in problems. I don't consider myself as having best friends or a best friend. I have a close, enclosed circle, and many times they will see the cape off or hear the cape off. You can't always do this because sometimes people don't understand, that for some people you can't separate titles, right? It is Reverend Taylor, so sometimes it is difficult and you're misunderstood, etc. Lindsay will tell you that one of the things that I say to them very often is, your love for me or your respect will be demonstrated or could really be put to the test if I fail. But I don't want to put your love to the test because I really don't want to fail, because I know, listen, there can be, you can do 1,000 goods and one wrong, and that one wrong overshadows everything else. You're not forgiven, you're just brushed aside, etc. And ministry is like that. It can be very mean, it can be very hurtful. But I do find time. I am an adventurous person. I like adventures, so I like to go out. I like to go to Portland. Is one of my favorite parishes. So I've done a tour of Portland. I have gone rafting. I've gone all the way up into to Moortown, to Nanny Falls. I've gone to Blue Hole. Those are the things that I love to do, and I love to play board games. So Ludi, at work I like Pictionary. I am not I'm not so athletic. but I do dabble. I'll be the first. I'm what you, as much as it don't look like, I can be the life of the party. So if I come by and let's say a group of young people is playing and they're ready to jump in, I'm gonna jump in, because young people like to prove, I don't know, but there's always this feeling of wanting to beat the person who is the leader. So I even remember one time I went to Dumfries. I want to shout out to Dumfries. Dumfries normally, and forgive me, Brian, sometimes I just segue into saying some things. Dumfries, I remember, is the first church locally that invited me to speak and put me up at hotel. For more than 1 years. Hotel treatment, big thing of apples and so I want to shout out to Dumfries. I miss those days. So Sister Jones and the crew, big up. Reverend Barracks at the time was the pastor, big up. But I remember, right, they had sport day and I went and everybody just wanted me to race, because what they wanted to beat the director, and trust me, we put together a relay team, shout out to Deroy Waite, Deroy in the earlier years was Deroy and I come from a far away, he's now in Canada, but he went with me, we went there and we put together a relay team and, trust me, we did dust them well, and on my leg, I did win. Yes. So all those St. Thomas folks, I hope you remember. So I do make time for taking off the cape and having close people around, I know Chad asks who pours into you, there are persons around who, will mark you. It is not much. I tell you, this type of service in ministry, leadership, it can be a lonely place. Leadership can be a lonely place. And sometimes you have to pull on your own strength. But thank God, there are throughout my period of ministry, there are some persons who are always around. As I said, Deroy would accompany me on missions sometimes. Rowan McGrath, also out of Spanish Town. Shout outs to Kevin. These persons were there. Andre, Wedderburn. There are persons, and so there are persons now who are around you now who are your spiritual persons, your prayer persons. So like now I know there at Linstead I am assigned prayer warriors who, because sometimes in this, there's youth council, there's Linstead, there's Trafalgar, there's your family to minister at home, there's now international, there's your job, there's a whole lot of activities. Sometimes you don't even get time to even pray for yourself, you have to pray, but there are persons there who are spiritually, supporting, and that is important for any leader to have a bedrock of prayer warriors. But there comes a time when you have to take away yourself, which I do sometimes. Just a few days ago, my wife and I were all the way in hotel, just relaxing, So I do find time. Not enough though, not enough. I made a commitment to my wife which I have not honored. I must confess, that we would do this try and do this every 2 months. But somewhere in there we get it done. So I do get time to unwind, but not enough.
Yes, need to calibrate, as we would say. Um, yes, I see a very lengthy comment here from Mr. Cooking Down Slow himself. Deacon Cecil Wade, man of the word. He says, Reverend Dervandale Taylor, you are a model of excellence in ministry, career, academic pursuits, and overall impact in this generation. How do you keep that focus? And this is maybe along the same lines. How do you keep that focus and maintain that zeal so that all these areas are being watered constantly and show extraordinary progress? Also, two-part question: how do you keep your foot on the accelerator and not allow any area to fall? You are a picture of continuous advancement in the kingdom of God.
So, so shout outs
As
to
only Deacon Wade.
shout outs to Deacon Wade. Yes, Deacon Wade by another person who I have a huge level of respect for. As I said, I would have answered parts. But you know, one of the things, Brighton, that answering Deacon is prioritizing. One, and also learning to use your resources and use your team. And many times your resources are not only in your team, but they are outside of your team. You know, sometimes for me, I feel like, you know, some areas are lapsing, you know, and so, you know, you have to catch up and pay more attention to that area. But it is important to lean on other persons. No man is an island, you know, no man stands alone, and I've learned that. The struggle with for me, however, is getting it done with the Durban stamp. That I tell you is a struggle, but I've learned to relinquish the ropes to persons to get things done. It is not always successful. It is not always how you want it, but the job gets done, and that is what is important. I have also found that, of course, maintaining that spiritual relationship, you know, building, kind of getting the God stamp, you know, that is also important, you know, and in terms of keeping your feet wet, can't discount prayer, can't discount having spiritual people around you to support you and to aid you. The very person who the question comes from will tell you that there's many times that I would just call on him and a sudden, you know, to just chime in and to help me with something, you know, because I believe that the Lord placed people in the ministry and they have different capabilities, and they have, you know, different abilities that can be used. Everybody can be used in a particular space. And so, because I know that, you know, somebody took a gamble on me, I am always willing to give somebody an opportunity and to be behind there supporting them. One of the things though, that persons say to me is that I am a bit rough with it. You know, I will correct them, but I correct them in a very stern kind of way, and sometimes it doesn't come off as, you know, being helpful, but being critical. But I don't know, who the Lord loves, he chases. So I remember there was one person on the youth council who said to me that, you know, you let everybody else off the hook, but if I do one thing wrong, you know, you're breathing down my neck. And I said to the person that it is because I am seeing in you something that you are not seeing, you know, and I'm trying to pull that out of you. And so if you're not operating at the level that I think you are capable of operating at, I am going to pull you up to that level, and it is going to seem a bit harsh sometimes, but that's not it. So um, that's how I keep um, the different programs going, and keeping the accelerators, I think you said, Deacon said, on that. At the same time, I have to prioritize that with academics. I don't think I'm the brightest person, I but I just believe that the people in the kingdom of God must have excellence. And excellence come in different ways. Not only a degree, not only a doctorate, but being skilled in different areas. Being skilled. So you may not have a bachelor's or a master's or a PhD, but you're skilled in a area from heart. You're skilled in baking. You're skilled, and I believe that as you become skilled in the kingdom, God places you at strategic positions to build up the kingdom. And those of us who are in leadership position must recognize that and put people in. For example, I always can't fathom, let's use an example, why as a leader I have somebody in my church who is a banker per se, works in the bank, is skilled in, or their degree is in banking and finance or accounting, etc. But I don't have them in my finances. I can't fathom why I would have somebody who's in insurance, etc. But when I'm talking about insurance, I don't consult with them. I can't fathom why I should have somebody in the tax office who's a member of my church, but I don't ask them to deal with the taxes or the papers for the church. And so I believe in using persons, and pulling on the skills of persons, because I believe that God placed them there for a particular purpose. So that's how I survive and get through.
Yes. Wow. And certainly it's not it's not easy, but with God's help, we have made it thus far. And Deacon Wade has a unique way of wording, using his words. How do you keep your foot on the accelerator? I always like to hear the man of God go for it. And so there are more questions. I saw a question earlier from Sister, let me just get the name. Sister Davidson. I'm just asking that you resend. But Rev, we are moving along. And there's yet another question from Ronique, but I think it will be along the lines of questions that I have here. Well, the next question kind of touched on it yet again, about how you bring balance between family relationship and leisure and personal time. So I think we can skip that one. But this next question, I think it's along the lines of what Sister Ronique was asking. She asked some very probing questions. Let me just pull it up. It says, I have a question. If it's not too personal, what is your weakness? Your strengths are very evident, but what do you believe that you need to work on, and that's in conjunction with a question that I have here, which says, what areas do you feel you can improve on as a regional youth director or as a person in general? Yes, so you can
Uh,
you can take it away.
uh,
Well,
you
you kind
know,
of mentioned.
I think I procrastinate. Believe it, yes or no. I think I have a problem with time management. Some, yeah, I think I do. Um, it's probably because of how much things I'm doing that I think so, but I do think I have a problem with time management. Um, and also, I need to work on saying no. Need to work on saying no. And saying no in the sense and not feeling guilty. You know, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but it is something that is necessary at times. There are times when you have to say no um, without feeling guilty. I think that is something that I need to work on in terms of myself. I also think I need to, there are some goals and dreams that I have that I think I need to put the accelerator to. One of the things I recognize is that, you know, and my wife will tell you, or people around me will tell you, I tend to push, always push others ahead, you know, of myself. I don't know if that is a weakness though, but I need to, I would, I will tell you, Brian, that there are a lot of times when the very thing I'm encouraging persons on, you best believe it, you know, is the same weakness. And that is why I tell you, you know, sometimes persons don't understand. Um, they see you as this superhero, you know, they see you as this epitome of strength, you know. So for example, and I'm going to say this in the vernacular, I I was, I will encourage. So there's a particular entrepreneurial venture that I want to start, and anybody can tell you. I will always encourage people about entrepreneurship. I will preach about it. I will sow into you to get it done. I will find avenues, etc. You know, but yet still, Durvan is not working on his idea. You know, so the other day we're at work, and you know, I have this she's like, she calls herself the work wife, you know, and yes, she teams up with my real wife and they annoy me. um and I just look at her and say, you know, so we cruff, that's a Jamaican word, you know. You know, and you know, we laughed about it because, you know, we will always be encouraging people, but you know, take a long time to get ourselves off the ground. So that is something that I think I need to work on. You know, just kind of, there are some other personal goals that I want to achieve, and I need to work at those. Yes.
Yes. So on to our next question, Sister Davidson. This question was asked a long time ago, and I think it's a very relevant question to ask. She says, what advice can you give to other ministers in cultivating and helping young people in their congregation maximize their potential? And this is very relevant even in the times that we are living in. So yes, Rev. What am,
So straight off the bat, Brighton, I want to say to those leaders, give
Yes.
them a chance.
Yes.
Give them a chance. I am a product of Reverend Jacqueline, Reverend Randall, Pastor Light Brigade Tolo, Bishop Marcia Gale. I am a product of them stepping out on a limb and giving me an opportunity. And there may be much more. Persons don't if I don't call the names, don't get. I want to say to the leaders, and I have learned this, Brighton, because of how we have pulled young people out of churches to the regional level and see them operate at that level, but they have not gotten the opportunity to operate in their local churches because young people are seen as not living a life. They are not seen as apparently there's this particular age that you need to reach before you can do certain things in church, or before you can hold certain responsibilities in church. There's this particular time that you need to be in church for before you can do certain things. Apparently there is this level of spiritual maturity that you need to meet that is only measured by the pastors and some senior members themselves. What is this level? And so if that was the measure that was used for me as an individual, I would never have been a youth director. I would never have been a reverend. I would never have pastored Linstead. I would never have pastored Trafalgar. I would never have now become an international youth director, because my journey broke all those barriers. I was not perfect when I was given an opportunity. I still battle my own struggles. I still have to daily pick up my cross and follow him. I still have a battle in the mind concerning certain things. I still you find me at times being jestful, and so I want to say to the leaders, give them a chance, but also invest in your young people. Invest in your young people. Invest in time and invest in finances. If you identify something that a young person is good at, invest in them. Send them to get skilled. Those who have failed, people can tell you. You see, at Linstead, since I've been to Linstead, there has been probably about 5 or so young people who got pregnant, and every one of them can tell you that my approach towards it is that we will support you. We will, whether they left the church, yes or no, it cannot be said that it was a matter that, boy, the church pushed you away. Because I believe in nurturing. I believe in second chances. I believe in forgiveness. The church preaches forgiveness, but we don't act it out. We don't put it into practice, right? I believe that if we invest in our young people, we give them opportunities, we teach them, mentorship is important. And there's something that I hate, I don't like it, is that we don't, or there are some leaders who are not mentors, but yet still they expect the young people to operate at a certain level. And when they find mentors outside of the church, it is seen and frowned upon as them seeking someone else when we are here or I am here. But if it is that they saw within their environment that there was someone there, then they would have sought that help. And so I say to the leaders, don't leave it up to the young people to seek for this. Put things in place so that they can know that they have the support that they need there. We are not going to find, I'll say that again, we're not going to find a full, perfect generation of young people. We're going to make mistakes, we're going to fall, but leaders should be there to pick them up, to demonstrate to them that, hey, you have fell, but I'm here to pick you up, I'm here to support you, but also I'm here to give you guidance and teaching so that you don't make this mistake again. A lot, and I've seen it in our ministry, there's a lot of young people who have moved on from our churches and have become excellent in other ministries. Thank God they're still in the kingdom, but it is because we don't nurture them. We don't nurture their gifts. We don't nurture their gifts. And if we don't nurture their gifts, it is going to blossom elsewhere. We could tell them from now until, as we say in Jamaica, thine kingdom come, to bloom where you are planted. If you don't provide the soil, if you don't provide the nurturing, if you don't provide the manure, if you don't provide the water, that plant is going to die. And so there are some people who have made up in their mind that before I die, I'm going to find good soil. And therefore I say to leaders, ensure that there is good soil, ensure that there is water flowing, ensure that there is manure, ensure that the caretaker is there. And you're going to do all of this combined with the teaching of the word, making the word creative. A lot of persons are just there saying, well, this is what we grew up on. Listen to me. We are living in a time and an age where knowledge has increased. In your time, you sat and listened to a pastor, a preacher, without any validation or verification. Now, our young people, they have their gadgets, they have their phones, they have their tablets in church. They can fact check you. They are listening to different speakers speak. We have to elevate our offering. It is time, I say this, and I'm very strong on this. It is time that we elevate our level as a body. It is time that we elevate our offering. It is time that we understand that we are not just ministering to a certain level or a certain class. And some of our leaders operate that way, that they just fling it down, give us a bang, bang, bang. But understand that we are now churning out, this year alone, the amount of professionals that have been churned out of the YPG here in Jamaica. Every month, every week, we're saying the sound of congratulations. We're churning out doctors, lawyers, bankers, auditors. Now, when these young people come into your space and sit, they are not just coming for a bag of beans preaching or some, you just get a word and just come and harp on it. They are coming, they are thinking at a particular level, they are operating at a particular level, and they need to see that level. I also want to say to the leaders, do not be fearful about those who the Lord has put around you. Use them to the best of your ability. All you have to do is to establish who is the leader, and you don't need to walk around saying, I'm the pastor, I'm the pastor. By your fruits they will know. And so use them. A lot of persons, I believe there's a lot of persons around me who are much more educated, much more brilliant, and the Lord provides them. So use them. Don't be fearful. Push them ahead. Every great mentor has a mentee that is going to be greater than them. And if your mentee is not shaping up to be greater than you, then you're not doing a good job at mentorship.
Yes, yes, yes. Rev, you really, I was saying to someone, you hit this one out the park, man. Right. The nail, you hit the nail on the head. And just to say something before we move on, we as leaders should seek not to frustrate people out of the church, but to cultivate the gift that is within him. Stir up the gift, stir it up, as the word says. Because many a times, and this is why sometimes millennials are leaving church, because we frustrate them out of the ministry. But and a lot of the time it's because of intimidation. But as Rev was saying, you don't have to be intimidated. Use the people, delegate your authority, use the people in their areas of expertise and gifting. And in the end the kingdom will be built up. And so that's the message that we are putting forward. Don't frustrate, cultivate. And so we are moving right along. Wow, Rev, I didn't expect it to go this far, but let's just ride the wave as it comes. Um, so my next question is, Rev, thus far as youth director, what have been, we have spoken about weaknesses, so what have been some of the highlights and what you deem some of your greatest accomplishments um, in your ministry, in particular to the youth in Jamaica region and now by extension internationally?
So I think internationally, we have just begun. We have had a few engagements. Again, this international position has been one that I have been shying away from. Um, a lot of persons wouldn't know that. It was from the previous administration under Bishop Pattison that I was asked to, take up this role. And I said no. I was asked again and I said no. And I remembered Amanda, Amanda Innis, we were coming from a far way too. I remember those days, Amanda, Carmelia, Leroy, the others who we normally, have our games thing with, Reverend Jackie, yes. I remember she said to me once that, she doesn't believe that it is her place, but, she thinks if I'm offered this post, I should take it. I don't even know that she knew that, I was asked and I said no. But then I discussed it with family, discussed it with my wife, discussed it at length with my bishop and, accepted. And so, we see where that leads. I know I don't like to be a part of anything that fails, I tell you that much. But failure for me is not final either. So on that front, I hope to, it is already a historical thing. It's the first international youth director. I believe that, there are some barriers that I see myself as a barrier breaker for the young people. There's a lot of barriers that are broken that others can now walk into. So on the international front, that I hope to create a unified body of young people that is motivated, that is on fire for God, and this will be done through teaching and development, through fun, through fellowship, through engagement, and through evangelism. Very soon we will be putting out what is the strategic plan, to guide that. In terms of regionally though, Brighton, I think that, and I would, I like to give others the opportunity to say what they think concerning what is, but I think I would say the greatest achievement that I would want to posit at this moment is that I think the level of spirituality and spiritual involvement of the young people have shifted. And I think this is because of the various programs that we have put in place. It's not always been easy. Sometimes I remember there are times when we just made the decision to cancel certain events and focus on spirituality. I remember when Sport Day was cancelled because we felt that the youths were just getting too competitive and not focusing. I remember in camp when we cancelled our date night because we felt that people were just coming to camp to find a date to go to, and we come under pressure for this. The young people didn't like it, they were bitter sometimes, some said harsh stuff, etc. But we knew that what we were doing was to ensure that the most essential part of their wholesome development was taken care of, and that was their spirituality. And I do believe that for me, apart from the different things that we have implemented, any policies that we have written, all of that, I believe, was to underscore the spiritual development and shift in terms of the young people. And I believe that we have seen that. I believe that we have seen young people operating in that level. If you look in this Jamaica region at the amount of youth pastors and who are not just operating with a title, but are making a difference. Deacon Wade will there's the young men in ministry, and if you just look at the spiritual level of the youth, that has shifted, and I would say that is one of the what I would want to posit as the greatest achievement. In terms of churches, there's a lot, but I think for Linstead is just the continued growth of the church, and of course we feel proud as a church to say, that we are one of the church in Jamaica who can say we have acquired property and handed a title to a regional overseer to say this is the organization's own, based on what we have done as a church. I believe that is big. I believe that it is massive, and I'd say heads up, big up to the team there at Linstead for your continued work. Took over Trafalgar just before the pandemic, but there is awesome work that will be done. We have started. I remember we kicked it off with what is deemed the biggest family setting there. We also had the biggest roadblocking event there, 22 souls out of 1 week crusade. So the Lord has been good, and all of my achievements are a part of a team. I give credence to the team that is working with me, the leadership team, everybody, whether they pull their weight, yes or no, they were there as a part of the team. And I think right now I saw somebody asks, about this team, and what if you feel like the team around you, there's no team, that is where networking helps, reaching out to other people who are better at this, are more successful in terms of having a team around them, and how you can build your own team and develop your own team. There sometimes people just need a little training, they just need a little motivation, just to pull them out of their comfort zone. But networking is important, and depending on others who have done this to come in and support, because trust me, there's always something there. Everybody has something to offer. It may be dormant, just need a little fire to stir it up, but it is there. So that's in terms of the achievements, and just to answer that question that I saw.
Yes, I think we are down to our final question. And so you alluded to it earlier, Rev, that being appointed the youth director, this is a first, the international youth director, this is a first in City Mission history. And so given that you have now made history being the first appointed international youth director of the Pentecostal City Mission Church International, how does it feel, and what is the vision ahead? I know you may have touched on it a bit, but what vision would you like to cast at this time, at this critical juncture in City Mission history?
So thank you, Brandon, for that. The as I said before, well, I want to backtrack to kind of, because I did speak to, the importance of having support, and I want to take this opportunity really, just to, in memory of Reverend Dennis. I really want to honor his memory. He's one of those persons who I knew had my back. I didn't have to question it. I didn't have to second guess it. He was one of those persons who pushed, and support from afar. He would call and give his usual comments, and he would have made some particular prophecies over my life, and which has, manifested, some yet to. But I just want to honor his memory, and to say thanks for his support. In terms of the way forward and what is next, being an international youth director, I believe that it is even more a more daunting task, since I'm the first. There's no template at this level, but I believe that at the regional level I have a sufficient template to take to the international level, and that is why I want to big up the Jamaica region. Feel no way other regions, but I want to really shout out our bishop, because we have really put in place some important, very important and strategic, and that is why I say again that leaders just need to encircle themselves with persons who can buy into their vision and support their vision. Or everybody knows or bishop. She may not have a master's or a bachelor's yet, but the things that she has put in place, and they are templates for great organizations, and so we have a template here, and I think that is what I am going to be piggybacking on to really push forward this ministry at an international level. Already we have put in place youth directors in various regions, so that there can be a trickle-down effect, because administration is important. I think our organization have suffered a bit from that, over the years, lack of administration, and so we want to make sure, that we who are the current generation change that, and leave in place structures and policies and SOPs, standing operating procedures, for those who are coming behind us, so that they can operate and get the business of the church going. So I'm looking forward. There are some ideas that we have already in terms of what we want to be big on evangelism. If you note that what this week is about, we want to be big on evangelism. Of course, we want to be big on prayer. We want to engage the talent of the young people, and harness that and see how we can use that to the betterment of the ministry, and also to build the kingdom of God. Of course, as I said, we want to focus on the administration. We want to do things based on empirical evidence. So we will be big on research. We also want to ensure that we involve the young people, because if we are catering for the young people, then we want their voice to be a part of this. And this is something that we have suffered from as a church, because the voice of the young people is seen as the voice that is not authorized to speak. So we want to ensure that the young people are at the table. The young people are at the table, and the fact that there's an international youth director gives credence to that there is we are placed at the table. And so I also want to pause to acknowledge and just say thanks for allowing me to serve to the general overseer, Bishop Dr. Donald Maxwell, and who has given me the opportunity to serve. It is not, and for me, in all of these positions, it is not about me really, but about those whom I serve. I believe that is what God has called me to serve. So with all of that, also, Brighton, we want to bring the young people from the different regions closer in terms of various activities like conventions and camp, like what we're doing now. If I could give you a taste of an idea that we have, is that we would want to see in the near future an international youth convention that happens in the different regions. So every year we change a region, and every region travels to that region. So it's things like these that we're discussing at this level. We're discussing also how we can, in collaboration with the educational arm, education and training, develop our young people. We and Deacon Walters said it best this week. It's not about just milk again. We want our young people to have a hard information, deep and thought-provoking debates, and discussions, seminars and conferences, because this is what they're facing in the world. No longer are we gonna sit and hide, and don't discuss things at this level, because they're having the discussions in the world. We want to talk about these things, want to put them on the table, and I want to lead from the front in doing that. So I want to ensure that in this organization, Pentecostal City Mission Church, that the young people's voice is heard. And we are going to do that we are going to be disruptive. Now, that can be misunderstood to mean that, you know, we're going to create chaos. We're not going to. But when everybody who has ever had any great success had to disrupt something, and there are some stuff that we will have to disrupt, so that we can have our voices being heard and at the table. Thank God our leaders are providing that avenue so we can be at the table. And so I say to the young people, I say to those who are looking on from the different regions, that your voice is being represented, and so feel like you're a part of this. You know, this is our organization, this is our ministry. Feel a part, you know, make yourself a part of it. Be the change you want to see. That is what was the deal breaker for me in ministry, when the Lord says, you have complained a lot, why not be a part of the change? And so I just had to draw a circle, stand in the middle of it and say, Lord, let this change begin with me. And I'm saying to the young people, those who are not on board, get on board. Those who have fell off board, come back on board. We have to ensure that we are a part of it. So, that's where I see us going. That's where I see us going in terms of the direction. And I can speak now with your permission. Yes, in terms of the direction of the Jamaica region, it is with excitement and with joy that I know that the Jamaica region is going places. But it is also at the end of this camp, as we bring the curtains down on this camp, that I want to say to all the young people, the pastors, those who have led for 14 years, that this will be my final youth event as youth director. And so effective August 31st, I will no longer be your youth director. I have effectively spoken to the bishop and will tender my resignation as youth director for the Jamaica region. I have no doubt that you will be in good hands, and if you have read into all of what is happening tonight, you would recognize that you will be in good hands. And so, Sir Brighton, it is with you know, a sense of gratitude that I want to say thanks to Bishop Marcia Gale for giving me the opportunity to serve this region, and to the board members for giving me the opportunity to serve on the board, you know, to all the members of the youth councils that I've worked with. You know, we have been through thick and thin, all those planning events and planning meetings, you know, those what we call them strategic planning seminars, you know, at Hope Gardens, Merrill's Beach Resort, at all the different places that we have went, the nights in Portmore, the nights in Kingston, the nights in Spanish Town, the nights in Negril. I also want to honor the memory of Dwight Mitchell, who served this council, you know, and has passed on before. We honor his memory. I just want to say thanks to everybody who served with me, who made the job easier. To the current regional youth council, I want to say thanks to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you to all my young people. All my young people. You know, I want to say thanks. It has been a pleasure. It has been a humbling experience. To those who supported at camps, to those who supported at conventions, to all the pastors, the ministers, everybody, those internationally, who supported the region, those who supported financially, those who supported with your calls, those who were there as a pillow for my head to lean on, to those who have been unsupportive, to those who have been critical, everybody. I just want to say thanks to the detractors, as one person put it, to the doubters. I just want to say thanks. I feel comfortable relinquishing this post. There are many things that I would have wanted to achieve during my tenure, but I believe that this role or this road is a relay. Ministry is a relay, and so you may start it, but you are not necessarily one that will finish it. One of my greatest wish was that by now we would have achieved or own at least a place for our campsite, but I believe that in due time we will achieve that, and I hope to be a part of that. I'm not going anywhere. I'll still be here in the Jamaica region, but I will not be the lead person as the regional youth director. I will say that I've made the recommendation to Bishop Marcegale for this gentleman who has been interviewing me tonight to step from the role of second assistant youth director to that post. I will be there to support. I'll be there to offer my guidance. I'll be there I'll still be at camp. I'll still come to camp. I'll still be at convention. But I want to say that the role as the international youth director is going to be much, as well as there can be conflicting roles, as well as there are personal developments that will not cause me to do all that I endeavor to do. And so I believe that it is time that I make way for new and refreshing leadership. It is time that even as we come to the end of the PPE, right, it is also a note or eighth upper room experience, and those things kind of signal new beginnings. I have no doubt that as the region presses forward into new territories, into uncharted territories, that there is no limit to what will be done. I look forward to continue to working with and to engaging and to supporting, but this is where I say to the young people of the Jamaica region that this is my last major event as your youth director. It was a pleasure. I love you. I respect you. It was a rewarding experience.
Oh, Lord.
And I will be there. But for now, it is shalom.
Oh, Jesus. Yes, so you have heard it. We are calibrating, we are adjusting, and I personally want to say thanks to Reverend Devon Taylor for being an amazing, God sent, anointed youth director, and we are better because of the labor of love that you have given to us as youths. You have raised, I've basically come up under your tenure of leadership, and I'm forever grateful to God for the influence and the work that you have put into this region. And I know that it's only up from here, given that you have now assumed a new role, a higher position. We know that the youth department can only go higher and higher. As Deacon Wade said, the foot is now on the accelerator, and also for the Jamaica region. We know that God has great things in store. Big shoes to fill, very big shoes to fill. But we know that with God, we can do all things through Christ that strengthens us. And so, I don't know if our international youth director wants to have closing words or.
I think it is important, Brighton, that as I move on to that role, that I also introduce to the youth body, you know, the members of the current members, not fully
Yes.
staffed, but I think I can introduce those who are current members of the International Youth Council.
Yes.
Um, of course, and that is why I say Jamaica, I really, 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 really want to honor the woman of God, because the assistant international youth director, who was a assistant youth director here in Jamaica, migrated to Canada, but will now serve as the international assistant youth director,
Woo.
is Sister Amanda Innis Waite, out of the Toronto church. We also have on the IYC the regional directors, for California, Light Brigade Paul Samuels. For the United Kingdom, Light Brigade Kevin Latibodier. For New York and Canada, Worker Laurice Taylor. We also have serving in the area, and let me back up. So Paul Samuels will also serve as our treasurer. Laurice will also serve as our secretary. We have Sister Salome Williams out of the California church, who will serve in the area of evangelism and prayer. And of course, we have you, sir, Dr. Brian Kinlock, who will be the repping the Jamaica Jamaica region. So that's our team for now. We have one regional youth director space to be filled for Florida and Belize, and about 2 more posts, and then that will complete the team. But nevertheless, we are in high gear, and we are asking everyone to just line up. In terms of final words, Brighton, I think I missed out our own zone youth coordinators. I really
Yes.
want to honor them. The zone youth coordinators, the cooks, the cooks that cook at camp and cook at convention, and everybody. If I leave you out, don't feel any way. I am grateful. I'm grateful. And I want to just say to the young people, that the same courtesies accorded to me when I serve, or will continue to be accorded, is the same thing that is expected, as we go forward. We will be in good hands, great hands, skillful hands, both physically and spiritually. and so, I really expect us to grow from strength to strength. So again, thanks to my family, thanks to my wife, and all those around who are there, in the difficult times, in the turbulent times, the good times. The current RYC, Sir Nicholas, thank you. Brighton, thank you. Robert, thank you. Anthony, thank you, sir. Sherdian, thank you. Sherdy, thank you. Patricia, thank you. Sherika, thank you. Did I cover it? Yes. Thank you all for your support and
Oh,
everyone.
Lord.
Sir Log, my apologies. You know, the calm collective one, you know, Sir Log, thank you for your support. Everybody who has ever been a part of this journey, you know, of this journey, and will continue to be a part of my journey, I say thank you. Over to you, Brighton. I have one more job as to do, and I think that is to make the announcements. When you are ready for that, you can let me know.
Well, it has been a great night, and I'm sure that we have been edified and we have been blessed in this sit down with our director. And I trust and hope that we will all apply something that was said to our personal lives and to our ministries so that the kingdom of God can be elevated and so that the kingdom can expand and grow. Indeed, we are called to defend the faith, and even more so in this time where so many things are there to detract us. But as you have heard, our director was laid it all out. He has been very transparent. If we follow the pattern, which was one of the things that I spoke on today, follow the pattern, then we will be successful and we will be victorious. And so I think that's it for me for Camp 2021. I must say it has been a wonderful experience. Wonderful, I think 8 days of just sheer manifestation and demonstration of the power of God and the building up of his kingdom through various activities and forms of ministry. And so this is me signing out. I crave your prayers, I crave your encouragement, your support as we go forward in building the kingdom of God. And so I close and I hand over to our director. We are calibrating. God bless you.
Thank you, Brighton. Thank you. You know, the more I think about things, you know, the more persons keep popping up in terms. I want to really honor Bishop Carmen Walters out of California, you know, in terms of, you know, also taking a leap. I tell you that we must give people a chance. I remember the first time I traveled was through her instrumentality and taking a leap, you know, on this young man from Jamaica, you know, to speak overseas. The Lord bless you, woman of God. And that's where it all began. Before I give the announcement, on the behalf of the Regional Youth Council here in Jamaica, hosts of Camp 2021, on the behalf of the International Youth Council support hosts, on the behalf of all the presenters, on behalf of the regional, international, we want to thank all the presenters, for their words, deep, thought-searching, thought-provoking words. Deacon Nicholas Walters, Minister Andre Matthews, Light Brigade Hall. We want to thank these men of God. We want to say thanks to all the youths that did morning manna, all those that did camp fit, all those that did sermonettes, all those that were the psalmists, to all the regional youth directors who put in the work to get all of this together, to those who took part in the Bible challenge, the cook-offs. Thank you to everyone, the technical team on lead there, my brother Dwayne. Thank you, and everybody else who chimed in. To South Haven City Mission for hosting the opening service. Chepstow City Mission for hosting the closing service. I want to thank the pastors, Reverend Moncrief and Reverend Mackenzie, and the presidents, Sister Tamara Millers, Brother Shadane Brown, and all the executive of those two churches who sought to accept us in hosting. To everybody who made Camp 2021 a success, thank you. To our regional bishop here, Bishop Marcia Gale, want to thank you, woman of God, for giving us the approval to go ahead with this event. To all the other leaders who supported us, who gave the go ahead for your regions to be a part, thank you for your support. We look forward to your continued support on not only regional levels but on an international level. And so my final thing then is to give the scores for what and please team, you can tell me if I have left anybody out, if I have left anybody out, so that I can ensure that I give them. Technical team, please get ready. I want us to go out with the band. Please get it ready. I also want to thank the band and all our external guests, Richard Price, Sister Patrice, Sister Chevany, I think from Kitchener SDA. Thank all of them who made this event the place to be. Alright, so my task is to give the final scores for the event. And so let's start with the people's choice. After the posting of the pictures and I saw people collating and encouraging people to vote. Ladies and gentlemen, the final scores are: in third place we have Jamaica with 49 points. In second place we have England with 80 points. And so the People's Choice Award for 2021 Virtual Cook-Off goes to Canada with 89 points. So you can give Canada a round of applause. So that has to do with likes. Now the real scores, let me find my judges bundle, or three judges from different regions, right? And they all agreed in terms of how the scores were put. Now remember that these are professional persons, all professional persons, right, in the area of cooking, right? All professional persons. And so their scores and their decision is final. And so I just want to make sure I have the right thing. Let me see, ensure I have the right thing here. Who do you think it is? Who do you think it will be? Just give me a minute. I'm making sure that I have the right information. Right information. All right. Thank you. Technical team, are you ready to take me out? Let me know. Good. So, the final scores are, yes, bear with me. bear with me, yes. The final scores are from our judges, right? It is, drum roll, in third place. And these scores are very close. Well, we want to shout out to our defending champions who will be dethroned this year as they didn't get a chance to enter Florida. Big up. We also want to shout out to our Bible Challenge champions, California. Big up to California, and second place Jamaica. We also want to apologize profusely because we never had the opportunity to allow for the debates this year. As the Lord led on Monday, we had to give way on Tuesday for part 2 of that teaching session, and so that was not possible. But I want to say to those who prepared, thank you again. The council apologizes for not giving you the opportunity to hear your debates. I also want to say, yes, and I know I'm keeping you in suspense, but on Youth Night, or International Convention is coming up. On Youth Night, we will be celebrating with the regions, right? It will be a night of artistic engagement, right? And so you can't afford to miss Youth Night in General Convention. Don't miss, young people, seniors, convention in general. But I am saying to you, Youth Night is going to be epic, yeah, and off the chain. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the final scores for the cook-off based on the judges' adjudication. The scores are 80, 84, and 89. Very close. Ladies and gentlemen, with 80 points, and therefore in third place, we have the People's Choice, Canada. In second place, with 84 points, we have England. And therefore, the cook-off champions for 2021 with 89 points goes to region Jamaica. Thank you all for your participation. This then has effectively taken us to the end of Camp 2021. Whether it is in the physical space next year or right here online, we will be back for Camp 2022. Until then, walk good, be blessed.